Welcome back to week 4 and another video. Now it's a slightly different style to this week because this week our budget is only £5. So I didn't think that I would take you around Aldi and show you everything and the whole shop and all that carry on. I'll put a picture up now, but basically we got, what was it? It was butter, oats, milk and something else which you'll see on the screen at the minute, and it came in a couple of pounds. No, it didn't. It came in a couple of pennies under £5. So it's been an interesting week. We've learned a lot of things. There's a couple of things that I want to show you and concentrate on. I've got a busy kitchen morning going on here at the moment, and I can show you a couple of the pantry items that we've been using. And what I've decided to do, as I'm going through, it's going to be every 4 weeks that I do the £5 challenge. And everything that I learn from that, I'll be documenting obviously with you guys. But I want to start thinking about what should I actually have longer term in my pantry, because obviously we're working through the pantry during this challenge, but what do I want my pantry to look like moving forward? You know, do I really want 30 kilos of rice? Do I really want lots of pasta? Well, the answer for the pasta is definitely no, because we actually aren't really enjoying, we're not a pasta family. Love lasagna and things like that, but pasta bakes and those kind of things at the moment we're just not really enjoying those, and I don't need them in the pantry long term. But I do think certain ingredients, which I'll show you the first one that I've discovered now, are really helpful for just for things like when you don't really want to go to the shop, so if you're not feeling very well, or just whatever it might be in people's different situations. So the other thing that I want to do, as you guys know, is reduce what we've got in the freezers, because although I was increasing the freezer usage over the last couple of years, obviously with what's been happening with the electricity bills, that's not an option anymore. So I really need to concentrate on these weeks, well every week, but make more of an effort on these weeks to use more from what's in the freezer. So we will be doing that probably as we move into next week as well. And the other thing that I'm finding very, very useful is having pressure canned meals on the shelves. So we've had a couple of nights this week, different things have been happening, and I've ended up using a jar of food that I've pressure canned previously. So the chicken pot pie filling and the chicken stew, which are kind of very similar, but one's a little bit thicker than the other. So just think of them as interchangeable, have been super useful this week. So I really want to concentrate on getting more of those on the shelves, and for different type of meals, so meals in a jar or sides or things that I can use as soup and things like that. Just make it more home cooked convenience instead of buying in the convenience as well. Right, let me show you the first thing that I've discovered this week, and this will be going on my pantry prepper, whatever you want to call it, list moving forward. It's dried skimmed milk. So, you know, glass for glass, this might not be cheaper to buy, but it's been an absolute saving grace to have in. So we ran out of our 4 pints of milk that we bought earlier this week very, very quickly. It was one of those weeks where everybody decided that they wanted milk, and the budget that I was on, I couldn't afford 2 pints or 2 cartons of milk, which would have been 8 pints. So I've thought, I've got this in the cupboard. I bought it during lockdown. I thought it would be a good thing to have in, and it has been fantastic. Let me just turn this down, it's going bonkers. So I am definitely going to be adding this to our longer term pantry storage. It is a little bit more expensive, as I say, than buying it as if you were buying just milk in or long life milk or whatever. But I think it's something that's going to be very beneficial to have in, and you can use it in bread makers and things like that as well. So there are other uses other than just kind of having it. We had it in porridge, teas and coffees. We didn't just drink it as milk. But yeah, absolutely, that's going on the list of things that I'll be stocking up on once this challenge is over. The other thing I've got on at the moment is just one of our hams in the slow cooker. I've rinsed it off. We salt our own hams and do them all ourselves, so I don't soak them because there's not that much salt in anyway. I've actually got this on high because I started it late, so I haven't been using the high function because it does use more electricity, but that's okay. So that's going, and when this is done, it's going to be using up the stock that's left. We'll pull the ham, so that'll be for sandwiches, and the stock that's left is going to be making a yellow split pea soup. So this is partly what we've got, the extended pantry here as well. I absolutely love my shelves. That was one of the big things that I was excited about for this new kitchen, and you can see everything that we've got available. So this is the soup mix, pearl barley, brown rice, that's just normal brown rice, it's not basmati. This is funny little thing, is my SCOBY for my kombucha, which I'll do a different video on if you're interested in that. I know I've been doing that on the Smallholding vlogs, And a couple of these are empty. This is salt, which is why it's got a different lid, because it makes the lids rust otherwise. Anyway, I'll show you what we do with this ham when it's cooked, and I might actually soak these peas because they are quite old, and it might just make it help it cook quicker, is what I'm actually trying to say. Whilst I'm having a busy kitchen morning, I thought I'd show you what else. I've got some chicken carcasses here that I'm going to make a stock out of because we want extra soup this week. It's getting really cold on a night now, and I just love soups and stews at this time of the year, and the chicken stock is always a good one to have in for me. And I thought I'd give you a little update on the lemon and honey preserve. So this is literally lemon and honey, and look how, can you see that? Help if I show you. It's so runny now, it's absolutely delicious. So this is fermented lemons in honey basically, even though it's just those two ingredients. And you don't need one of these on the top, it's just because I happen to have one. It's just got a little air hole in and lets it breathe. But oh my goodness, it tastes so fresh. This is going to be fantastic over the winter in tea, and well, just as a drink really. I think I might just have it in water. So I'm really pleased with that. That's going back on the shelf over here. And a few other things. We've got some jars that have just been cleaned up waiting to be used. These are the garlic in honey. It's amazing how runny the honey goes when you put something in to ferment it. So I'm excited about that as well. And we've got some of the other bits and pieces that we've canned and made up over the summer. And vitamins, it's starting to be a vitamin. So this is definitely something from a self-care point of view that we're starting to do. So if you take vitamin D3, maybe have a look up about taking vitamin K2 with it. Just I've always been advised to take them together. Not telling anybody what they should do, but that's it's an interesting one to research if you do that. And we always start taking our vitamins as we get into October, and the sort of the night's drawing and you don't have as much daylight and things like that. So that's one of the things that I'm taking. And the other thing that we've got on here is the courgette flour that I'm going to try and make with. You can substitute, I think it's about a third of the flour in bread recipes for courgette flour. Now I've got a huge load of marrows in the garden that I want to get dehydrated, but before I make it any more flour, I want to get this tested, see what that's like. Might get one of those on tonight actually. Anyway, more jars because you have jars everywhere. And that's it. So that's back on the shelf. These are the strawberries, dehydrated strawberries for winter snacks, but I could be here all day talking about what's up here. Oh, this is my kombucha. Another experiment, not to get mixed up with the gin. That would be a good mix up. For tea tonight, I'm using up some of the pantry ingredients that we've got because it's pantry week. So I've got lamb out of the freezer, I've got some fresh tomatoes and different herbs and spices from the pantry because I'm going to make a lamb curry. This is what it looks like at the minute. I started off by frying up some lamb and some red onion, just cooking that off a little bit. I've put in some fresh tomatoes, some ground cumin, coriander, garlic and onion powder, fresh garlic as well as the fresh onions, and I've just used up the last of the jar of mango chutney, and there's going to be some coconut milk going in as well as a little bit of water, and then we'll just leave this to cook down just on a simmer for an hour or so. If I had some tomato paste or puree, I would put some in. I haven't got any open that needs using. Oh, I also put turmeric in as well, or turmeric, however you say it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this, the coconut milk to this. I won't need any water actually if I'm putting the coconut milk in, and that'll be tonight's tea. Now I don't actually have any tinned coconut milk left. I thought I had one, but I don't. I must have used it, and then I remembered that I had this. So I'm just having a little look at the instructions and kind of sticking to them and just making up my own. And then hopefully this will be coconut milk. I'll just add this in because it's very, very lumpy at the minute. Once I've got rid of all those lumps, I'll add it in. And then from the store cupboard pantry as well, I've also got chickpeas, so I'll add in half a tin of chickpeas, and that'll just pad it out a little bit, and we'll serve it with rice. So I also mentioned last week about some of the things that I've got outside in the cold room, as we call it. There was the, the batteries, the head torches, all those good things. And I thought this week I would just include a little shop that I do once a month where I stock up on certain things and I add to those as well. And it kind of fits in with the theme of the week where I was talking about the pantry essentials. So as I go through the 35-week challenge, anything that I feel is something that is really worth stocking up on, that we're benefiting from, such as that dried milk powder, which who thought that would be such a big thing for me, I'm making a list of, and it's adding to my my pantry prepper list, whatever you want to call it, so that at the end of this 35-week challenge, I'm going to do a big stock up on all of those things that I've identified during the 35 weeks. And something that I think is worth sharing here on YouTube at the end of that, it'll be the list of things as we come across them. I'll just share what that list looks like, and hopefully a few people can not learn from it, but at least get inspiration from it. That's probably the right way of saying it. So I'll show you what I got from Wilko. Wilko's just kind of a, how would you describe it? A homeware store. I'm not sure. It's got bits and pieces of everything in terms of for the house, for the kitchen, for the garden, one of those kind of stores. It's relatively cheap, and it's literally just in our local town, so it's not far away from our house at all. So totally different day. Apologies for the setup. I'm absolutely shattered today, but never mind. I'll show you this now, and you can see what you think. So that washing machine's going for it in the background. We'll just have to speak over it. So I've tried some of these laundry capsules. So there's 40 washes in there. These are just going to go in the cupboard in stores for another day. Same for the scourers and the dishcloths. There was 3 packs of these wipes, which go straight upstairs, and the kids and I use those. We've got dogs, self-explanatory, those will be gone. That's the only thing, it's obviously not reusable. So, you know, this is something that we do go through, which is plastic, but hey ho. I'm adding to the candles. I quite like these, not just for emergencies, but just in the old-fashioned candle holders that I've got. Really like those. Ibuprofen and paracetamol, they'll go in the cupboard outside. And then candles for matches for those candles and for our outdoor cooking. And we've also got a log burner and things like that. I use these for all different things in the house. I use them for cleaning the vegetables. I use them for cleaning out, not the same one I have to say, for cleaning out the bathroom, the bath, the showers, etc. And also obviously for scrubbing the pots. So I do tend to stock up on those because we go through them for all different kinds of things. They tend to go missing. A couple more bits of toothpaste. There was 3 deodorants, but the other 2 have already gone. There was also a shower gel and just a big fairy liquid that was on offer. And I also picked up some onions. So I didn't get any of the standard white or brown onions. I got red and shallots, and they were good price, £2.50. And I also got a big pack of, well, it wasn't a big pack, it was a 3-pack of kitchen roll, because we go through quite a lot of that as well. Now, I have tried the, you know, the environmentally friendly kitchen roll. I think it's made with bamboo something or other. And I've got some in the cupboard down there, and it's fantastic. But a lot of the stuff, you can wash it and you get something like 35 washes or something like that out of each sheet. But a lot of the stuff that I use kitchen roll for, you wouldn't want to reuse it. So let's leave it there. And that's why I end up buying a new pack every month or so. These were the big ones. I don't actually have it to hand, but they were the big ones with 3 big rolls in, and nice thick stuff as well. I try not to buy the really cheap stuff because I used to, but it's just false economy because you end up using more. So that's the little haul that we've got from Wilko's. A lot of this won't be for use now, as I say. It'll go in the cupboards outside, and I'll add some of these things to the prepper list for things that I would like to keep in store. Not for if the world crashes or anything like that. Just when we've got a little drama here on the Smallholding, it's always good to have extras outside. Or there was batteries on this list as well. They went before I even brought the bag in the house. So I'm definitely going to have to stock up on those. We use them in all sorts of different things, whether it's like the wireless keyboard or the kids' remote controls or for the computers and things like that. So they don't seem to last very long. But yeah, that's the Wilko haul. So I just thought I'd show you that in between a couple of the meals that we've got going on this week. Well, tonight's meal is cottage pie, and I've got some mince that's defrosting in just a bowl of cold water. So if you sometimes forget to get the meat out of the freezer, we don't have a microwave or anything to defrost things quickly. If you just put some meat that's obviously in its packaging in some cold water, you can use what's called the cold water method, and it literally works super quick for me. So my mince I've got, let me show you. I freeze our mince in really flat portions, and it defrosts so quickly. This was frozen like half an hour ago. It has been thawing for a good part of the day, but it wasn't completely defrosted, and it is now. So I'm just going to cut this open, and I'm going to get it in the cast iron skillet that we've got on hob at the minute. That's just warming up, and I'll get some fat in there and some mince, getting that cooked up. I've got potatoes on because we've just done a huge potato harvest and got a barrel full and a half for our winter pantry. So you can go and look at that video if you're interested. So I thought it would be good to have a nice traditional meal tonight. So cottage pie with some nice fluffy mash on top. I was just thinking I might get some questions as to why do I freeze my mince in flat bags. Sorry, I've just missed the bin completely. I've got a bag that's acting as the bin. And we buy in bulk, so I didn't think I had any mince left, beef mince that is. And when I did a freezer inventory just before I started this challenge, we actually had a lot more than I realised. So one of the benefits of doing a freezer inventory, I always find there's so much stuff in there that I forget about, and that's why I don't get to it. Anyway, so there's plenty of beef mince there that needs using up, as well as diced beef. But I digress. It's in flat bags because when we bought this, we bought a year's worth of beef quite a while ago now, so probably over a year. And we bought it in big 5 kilo bags, I think there were. Yeah, there were 5 kilo bags in just big, huge portions essentially. So that when I brought it home, I just backpacked it down into 500 gram portions or pound portions, thereabouts. And that's why they stack in the freezer a lot more easily when they're flat, and they defrost a lot more quickly as well. So I find that really helps. If you can buy in bulk, I suggest you do it. Same as the chickens. So if you can, I would recommend buying a whole chicken. It's much more economical, and just breaking it down into portion sizes yourself. So you'd get the breasts, the thighs, the drumsticks, or you could keep them as full legs, and obviously any wingtips. Sorry, I cut myself again. And I always make stock from the carcasses, things like that, and I just find it goes a lot further, and it's a lot more economical. And if you were to buy it all individually, especially with the price of meat, apparently it's getting really expensive now. So anyway, I'm going to carry on making this cottage pie, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're ready. Now, the other thing I meant to say as well, yesterday I wanted to show you when I was making the pulled ham, how doing the pulled ham in the slow cooker. I wanted to show you what that looked like later on. It's in the fridge now, and that's because we ended up getting guests, and I was just pulling it while we were talking to them, and we had some last night because then it meant that we had to eat late. So I did a stock of tea last night, or a dinner supper, whatever you want to call it. Made some basmati rice and just made an egg fried rice basically with it, really cheap and cheerful, and added the pulled ham in as the protein to go with that, and we all enjoyed that. It was just like soy sauce and honey dressing basically, so that was really nice. But I've got some peeled plum tomatoes left over from Stephen's breakfast this morning, so I'm going to add that into the cottage pie tonight, just to make sure that we don't waste those. So in there we've got the beef mince, we've got some of our homegrown carrots, a red onion, what was left in the tin tomatoes, I've just cleaned that out, and what they call a stock cube. So that's now just going to simmer down while I go and get a few jobs done. The potatoes are nearly done as well, so I'm going to just turn them off, and I'll show you what it's like when it's all put together. There you go, there's the final version. It's just been, the mashed potatoes were cooked in here, I mashed them in there, and then I've added them on top of the cast iron pan. And there is mince in there, I promise you, it's just plenty of mash. These are sloes, which you can pick and use for jam or for gin. Gin preferably. Absolutely beautiful. Best after the first frost though. So as you can tell, and here, because it's out to puff walking over all of this rough terrain, I'm out foraging to finish off this week's video. So thank you for joining me for week 4. It was a low spend week. I've got plenty done using bits and pieces from the pantry, and I'm finishing it off foraging for my little goodies that you've just seen, and I'm going to be stocking up the winter medicine cabinet with natural goodies. I wanted to get that done this week, but life happened and we just couldn't get it finished. So join us next week. I've got a loaf of bread on using that courgette flour, and to see what I do with I've got rose hips, sloes and elderberries at the moment. You can mimic the frost with the sloes by putting them in the freezer. So I'm off to catch my breath, hopefully get a little bit more before I go and get our tea on for the night. We're having another tray baked today. So thank you for joining us for week 4. See you very soon in week 5.